Hey everybody, let's go live, talk about Stranger Things, what's going on with being on Streamyard versus Evmux. Let me catch up on some movie reviews and stuff going on with the channel. Come hang out with Pops.
You gotta remember that these are just simple farmers. These are people of the land. The common clay of the New West. You know. Morons.
Never gets old. Never gets old. So, yeah, lots of stuff going on. As you can see, we'll probably turn the camera off. The studio, the area in the office is a bit of a mess right now. So, I've got my phone in the other earphone as the missus is doing some other stuff. I trying to deal with redecorating, getting Christmas all put down and taken away and, stowed for the year, that kind of thing. But wanted to get to this, talk about this a little bit. And I think what the thing about Stranger Things is, you guys are probably going to hear some hate in the old YouTuber communities and whatever. But reality is, I was talking to my daughter and seen online, the normies aren't as real thrilled about the Stranger Things finale either. So it's not like just us being the haters that we are. So we'll talk about that. Got a list of things to talk about. Then movie reviews. Yeah, I got a whole list of movie crap to talk about. So we'll need to do that too. And then we'll take this live stream, cut it up into some clips and shorts and have some fun with that. So anyway, hopefully you guys are out there. You'll catch up to this. If you're not catching it live, feel free to make sure you get a notification thing. I don't even know how that even works anymore. I'm not convinced anything works on the YouTube algorithm's current state of things. So, and if you are a pop mod, you can jump in here and we will say hello to you and maybe offer you up a seat and join me for some of that talk. But without further ado, let's get right to Stranger Things. No, if you haven't seen my video, I talked about not already being a fan of Stranger Things 5. I think Stranger Things 5 may actually be worse. In a lot of ways, there's so much less going on that matters in Stranger Things 5 versus 2 and 3. It may be worse. It may be the worst season of all, even though the finale I didn't think was as bad as I expected. It was the point where I expected it to just collapse on its own weight. And what I mean by that, as a brief synopsis, is we have way too many characters. They did not have any desire to have any death and stakes with any of these characters running around. Tons of exposition, finish each other's sentences. Of course, the thing that trended, of course, was the big Will coming out thing, which was so nonsensical because everybody knew he was already gay. It was such a contrived 2025 feel of it all. It was just dumb. 11 has been sort of, I think the term I heard a couple people use with nerf, like she's just a joke shadow of her old self, even though she's doing all this training and stuff. And she's kind of like running around with like witch face the whole time. Just an unlikable character now. I'm not rooting for her the way I was early in the year, in the earlier in the seasons. So that was my first general overview. The link will be in the description for that catch up before the finale. The thing with the finale is this went on forever. 2 hours felt like 4. I don't know about anybody else, but it seemed like we have this big battle that's all placed. We're going to have this antenna and it's going to, we're going to let the abyss collapse and we're going to sneak up on Vecna and everyone's doing their little parts. And it, again, too many characters, but that notwithstanding, it's sort of coming together. And immediately I was let down because there's this moment where Steve's like, hey, look out, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then he falls over the tower. And then at the last second, he's grabbed by Jonathan. And I thought, oh, crap, we actually are going to have stakes. And I thought there'd be an emotional moment where Steve would go, just take care of Nancy, something, and Steve would die. Now, as a writer, and I told my daughter this, I am a horrible human. You guys love to hate me as a writer. I would have had them both die. I would have had everyone try to grab them. You know how hard and heavy it would be to have, 18 to 20-year-old hanging on one arm. It would probably pull you over, right? Let them both die. Then both families are traumatized. Nancy's devastated. Like the whole thing is chaos headed into this battle. The mental distraction is now compounding. No, we got nothing. Nothing happened. I was so let down. And then the layers of the complexity that they've thrown at everything, right? The fake matter thing and the military, and this is what's happening here and whatever. And I'm like, okay, just get on with it. The mind flare is the thing, and Vecna and whatever. And my prediction would have been, if you remember way back, especially with the Eddie scene in season 4, was they have to roll the 20 dice to win, right? Is that 11 plus 8, who was an unlikable character, and then they would somehow convince either Vecna, who is a 1, or Will, who's acting as a Vecna, a 1, would join forces to win, and that would be 20, rolling 20. That was the metaphor leaning into this D&D thing. They didn't do that, and they didn't make this all fake, which I liked. But let's be honest, it all comes down to like the battle scene, right? And this was just look. This is an article I saw. Dana Greek wrote it. The climactic battle went too far. The big bad had to go, but not like this. This was so retarded on so many layers of the big bad. Like this was destroyed by a bunch of grenades and a Rambo girl boss who barely knows how to use firearms. Like she's been self-trained over the course of these seasons, and she's still a jerk to everyone else. Like there's a little scene with Mike about, don't you think I needed a gun? Gives him the flare gun. Lucas is like, dude, you didn't get a gun, you got a flare gun. They didn't even have good dialogue with all that back and forth. Just a huge letdown with how all this played out. The article didn't really get me anywhere. It didn't really have anything like that, but it had a nice photo we can use. So yeah, that thing we saw, no surprise, flipped over. It's the thing, the spider giant. The ridiculous thing is Nancy's running. This thing is the size of a small, like what, couple buildings. I mean, it should be moving almost like quarter, half mile, something. And she's able to, it's just so dumb. And then went with this Rambo look with her. And I just think it was just terrible. I just couldn't handle any of that. Now, 11 has been weakened, but she holds her own and faces off against Vecna. And I will admit there's this stuff with their mind thing, taking Max there and having their little plan. Is the Vecna play thing, whatever happened with the Stranger Things play that was in London and New York, I guess. I went to Wikipedia and got an idea of what was supposed to. I don't understand how this wasn't like a little 2-minute synopsis in the beginning, like an intro scene, like having something to give us the Vecna intro. Like we had nothing to go on. It makes no sense. And by the way, I think we also can see like 11, like basically just flipping over these metal plates. Like remember the metal plates that were supposed to cover the split at the end of season 4? All this, it's like everything they've done with 11 has created another problem in their universe, either in the moments that are now or leading up to now, or in the past episodes and seasons. So complete mess. Again, nobody dies. The Wheelers, no one died. I couldn't believe that they didn't even kill off Mom and Pa Wheeler. Like I didn't even like. She just showed up. Like that was that's I'll be on that drum. But anyway, they do show up at the end. We'll get there. I think for me the hardest thing is that it just felt like everything just went on like forever. Like I just think like we went through this battle scene, and you sort of get this moment with Will through Vecna, and Henry's like faced with this memory with the dude with this literal memory box, a literal mystery box, right? The suitcase, opens it up, pick a thing, right? Are we talking Pulp Fiction or Time Bandits? What's in the box? It's this thing, right? And he's like, he's evil, but he's not evil. It's like, okay, you're seeing this is no, they just kind of double it. It was always my choice, I'll always be evil. I'm like, oh, okay, it was fine. It wasn't god awful, but it doesn't do anything to change the direction. And I've already complained on again the video before about Vecna's design. I think it took a step back in this season with having that sort of like he's telekinetic Groot who looks like Ultron, kind of. The fight was fine. They impale him, and then we finally have there in the abyss is Winona Ryder's character. Like, what is Joyce doing here? I didn't even know she was there at first. I mean, I was really a little bit confused. You hit the rewind a little bit, and she uses the axe and then they use it to cut back to moments of all the characters that died. They're supposed to matter, like Bob or Barb, for instance. And I'm like, why did we? It actually worked opposite to the effect the Duffer Brothers were going for. They were going for something to call back to those characters for the people that are fans of them to have some sort of like, I don't want to say tribute or something. Instead, it should have just been one swing of the axe and it just cuts. And then you know, the head's dead. Like it's done, right? But instead, because it's drug out, it just, again, it adds more of a tedious nature to everything that's happening in this show. Like I can tell you that some of the back and forth and bickering and some of the things that are going on just didn't work for me. The whole, Hopper, you have to trust me. You're not my dad kind of vibe. And then Vecna, Henry fools him into shooting the tank, which gets her out. It was fine. The only scene that Hopper got that was really cool was the end where he's like trying to get back to Kali to save her, number 8. And he like takes out 3. He's like totally kicking butt and taking names, man. Best Hopper scene we've had in a long, long time. Most of the characters didn't really have anything to do because there's just too many characters. Vicky, the irritating Robin girlfriend, is stuck with Max in the wheelchair, and you're like, oh my God, there's so much of this character. I don't care about this character, and we don't need to care because, by the way, we don't even know what happens to her. Robin does make a comment. Well, let's get there. Let's share that secret. Let's share that scene. So as it goes, it kind of moves along to the end of this. Like everything's done, right? Vecna's done. The Mind Flayer's done. We leave. We basically have everything kind of wrapped up, and then we jump forward 18 months. Now, mind you, this makes no sense, by the way. That we need to at least discuss the finale battle to the 11 thing. So 11 steps back with the explosion. She's going to be whisked away, right? But you see a little moment like something's happening, and then it's supposed to be, an allusion to what's going to be something that Mike talks about later, that 11 sacrifices herself, because that was the thing all along, because of the military experiments and the insufferable character that Linda Hamilton is playing. My gosh, if I thought the Dark Fate version of Linda Hamilton was bad, this version of Linda Hamilton is absolutely god awful. She's playing a dude just as a chick. Like, I think there was like, she got in the one guy's face or whatever. She's just, I mean, there's so many moments of Stranger Things 5 that feels like I'm stuck in like 2016. There's so many girl boss tropes, little tropes, the alphabet trope, just so many things that are derailing what is otherwise a good show and presenting those things in a positive way. And they're undermining them with these terrible cliches. So it's a shame. It's a shame. So we fast forward 18 months, mind you. Hopper took out like a whole bunch of people in the military. No prison. There's no mention of prison, being arrested, no interrogation. No, everyone is just like, there's literally the shot of them rebuilding the building. And you're like, this is another problem the show has had in season 5 in particular. There's no sort of like outside world acknowledgement of stuff that's happening in Hawkins. There's not like a newscast. There's not anyone of any gravitas to say the latest on Hawkins, blah, blah, blah. The governor is speaking out about something. Got nothing. Instead, we're just going to jump ahead 18 months. We're going to go to 1989. They're going to go to graduation, because this hits home for me, man. I graduated in 88. So this is like, man, Gen X born, man. This is why season 1 is so spectacular, because it is, if you want to like not hear us drone on about what the 88 was like or whatever, you can watch season 1 and get a good feel for that. So well, yeah, we'll carry on a little bit. Let me just say hello to Lord Thoth. He says, hello, happy new year to you, my friend. Great to hear you, Lord Thoth. So hope you're doing all right, brother. So yeah, they get to the graduation, and no one knows where Mike is. Mike's vanished, right? And you have the best scene as far as them trying to give you some emotions, I think, that actually matter, because the show has been anti-dad this whole time. It's been bad dad pretty much the whole time. Hopper's had surrogate dad moments that's worked okay, but he sits down with Mike on a park bench about 11. Mike has no purpose, doesn't know what to do, and he basically like, listen, here's the thing. You can decide to go and think you need to suffer and just push people away. I've lived that life. It's not worth it. Or you can go the other path, which Mike does. And we cut to graduation. So that was one of the better moments. I think that once we got to graduation, it was a little rough. First of all, I don't know how Max gets to graduate, because she was like a horrible student and she was in a coma for God knows how long. And I don't even know how that would have happened and worked out, but she's there. They're all there. And then they cut throughout the audience to show you, yeah, Mr. Wheeler's there, Mrs. Wheeler's there. They have her enough of a revealing dress, by the way, so you know that she's got her wounds, but she's not, which, by the way, for all of the people that are out there loving on the Miss Wheeler thing, remember what a skeezy, skank, horrible woman she is. She was the one that was ready to bed Billy, if you remember, right? Remember the hot lifeguard sequence? And then her sneaking off behind Mr. Wheeler, the dude that's taking care of her Reaganomics and good job and the whole thing, giving her this sweet life. No, she's going to go bang Billy, the lifeguard. So I have no massive love for old Mrs. Wheeler just because she throws down with the creatures trying to attack her daughter. I mean, it's fine, but she should have died. Sorry. So anyway, she's not dead. She's there. Mr. Wheeler's there. Derek is there. Derek is the fat guy, the fat kid with the big glasses. And Derek is head and shoulders the best new character in season 5. He's probably among the best characters in all of season 5. He is fantastically funny, and he's an awful person and great at the same time. He's the one, the your mom line. I have to find that and clip that and use that for some sort of video, because the your mom that's a great moment. So there's moments that are a little too, too much cursing for my channel, for me, but at the end of the day, it was funny. Best part. So graduation happens, and Dustin's going to do his valedictorian speech. Stuff with his mom was fine. It wasn't really too drawn out. It tracks for the history of their relationship. But then there's a little flicker with the sound, which is supposed to be kind of an allusion possibly to 11. That kind of stuff you get. Dustin's speech, I didn't click on this right away, and I don't know where I saw it. And I was like, oh, man, let me go back and check. And sure enough, everything Dustin does is the parallel to Eddie. So remember in Eddie was like, I want to get on that stage and grab that diploma out of Principal so-and-so's hand and flip him the bird. Dude, Dustin does exactly what Eddie was going to do. And Iron Maiden, went full Eddie. So the graduation speech in Dustin was actually fantastic. I love that part. And I love the fact that it had that layer and that callback. I didn't get it. Now, the hot girl coming up to him, the scene went a little too long for Mike to go, when they're just going to go play D&D. We know that's what's going to happen. So that was fine. I didn't mind that. I actually liked the fact they're going to go play in D&D. Where this really got bad and really bad was this sequence on the roof. This was awful. It went on forever. It makes no sense. Steve is now coaching baseball. Robin's away. She's got some little girlfriend of some persuasion. She says who's difficult, which I don't know if it's supposed to be Vicky or not. Nancy, who went full on girl boss Rambo, has now quit college to become an apprentice journalist. I don't know how this fits with the whole Rambo thing, but whatever. And then Jonathan is, what was Jonathan always like a commie little jerk? And we just didn't see it. He's evidently joined NYU Film School to make some sort of anti-capitalist movie. I'm like, when was he like Mr. Communist and all this? Anyway, I don't know. He also come across as, a bit soft, and just, anyway, they have this big moment where they're going to, quote, meet every month, which is ridiculous. They're spread out all over the country. Robin's got a friend with a basement they can meet up in. And you're like, it feels like this is just Gen X memory candy of, oh, we should reminisce about our friends and the friends we kind of, how close we were in that moment, and then we don't see for years, if at all, after college. And I've talked about this on the channel, right? You go away to college and you'll have one or two classes that are like hundreds of people, and you'll see the people you went to high school with, one or two here and there. And then the next semester, you get to like 3 people, and you see 3 people outside. It doesn't take long that by the time you graduate, you only have like a couple people that you really, that's, kind of with. So life gets in the way. It's not going to happen. So just everything about it, I didn't like. And it went on just forever, them talking. And then this stupid, well, I guess we're different kind of people. We fought this kaiju spy. Yeah, of course you did. Like, it's such a silly, crappy dialogue. I don't know. I didn't like any of that. I thought it was just pretty weak. So that was pretty rough. And then when you get to the D&D thing, and they're there playing in the D&D thing, and let me pull up the picture if I can find it. I will say that, they go through their campaign, they're having a good time. And then there's like, Max is like, hey, that didn't really land. Like, that seems pretty weak. So you're a better writer than that. At least I thought you were. And I'm like, oh, I see what they're kind of doing. This isn't bad. This is actually kind of interesting. And it's a shame that it kind of felt the way it felt. But at the end of the day, I was okay with it. I didn't hate it for sure. So um, I like the fact that it does parallel season one pretty good. And there's all sorts of moments. They purposely put the sprinkler shot in. They put the house is there. The mother's, Mrs. Wheeler stands in the doorway calling down to them. All of that is on point for this. So it works okay. But then Mike's like, well, there's a story about the mage and how she saves the day. And he goes to this big spiel about their lives going forward. Basically, Lucas, who has been relegated to nothing but Max's boyfriend, he's been completely irrelevant. And then goes through all of their different lives now, right? Dustin's going to go off and go to college and all that. It's fine. But Will, I don't know how offensive this should be to the gay community, but Will's future is he gets to go to a gay bar. Like, he fits in because he went to a gay bar. I'm like, okay. But it's all to set up that 11 is alive. All 11's out there walking the earth, and I don't know how she could economically pull this off. She didn't have a job. She barely could figure out where the egos are that she's obsessed with, but that's what they did. Again, I thought there's some elements that they were going for that weren't awful, and they were doing that could have been okay, but there are some elements that I think are just, I don't know. It's just, this is why it will probably go down as the weakest season. It will probably go down as the worst season. I don't know what to say. It really does feel like that. So, Stephen Ransom, how are you, my friend? Says, yeah, geez, everything I'm hearing about this is such a microcosm. All is wrong with their franchise IP. Yeah, it is. It definitely felt a lot like 2016 this season. This season felt, because I have always said, SR, that I feel like season 4 worked because they had COVID and some extra time to rework it. I don't know if they went back and binged it. I don't know. I would have. They buttoned it all up. I didn't really need a season 5. It could have just stopped at season 4. But they set up season 4 with almost like the earth rips open and now all these creatures and everything is going to come out and fight into our world. None of that actually happened. So it does feel they leaned into that, and then they leaned into all of the modern tropes. So girl bosses, you have the alphabet stuff, you have just everything about it leaned into all the problems, very parallel to the problems that we had back in 2016, for sure. Says they stop being human by the end of season 2. People don't act like this after the earth-shattering event like this. There are moments I think that work in season 2 and 3. They were huge step downs from 1. I think season 4 worked very well because it pulled a lot of things together. Those relationship things definitely felt better, but that was because they were all compartmentalized. My big issue with season 4 is it took so long to get the Scooby-Doo gang back together again. Like, they were all spread out too much. But we also just pretend that none of these things ever matter, right? Because remember, there's no mention. Remember Dustin's little girlfriend that was so adorable? Everyone's like, never ending story, whatever, and all that. Yep, she's not relevant. Her name doesn't come up. We don't know what happens. I was just complaining about Linda Hamilton's girl boss, whatever, General Major K, whatever her name is. Doesn't matter. We don't know what happened to her. We don't know what's going on with her. Yeah. So lots of good, money spent well at times, but other times I felt like it's just a mess. But again, look at her outfit. My daughter brought up the fact that what is with her scuba suit thing? Like, she wears the scuba suit thing like all of the time. And that was a problem for her. She's like, it didn't feel like the 80s anymore. It felt wrong. And I totally concurred with that. Dustin is still one of the best parts of the entire show. He's one of the best performers. Again, look at how many characters. We don't need to have 8 people. It's just way too many people. It's way too many characters. So, and then some of the stuff works. Again, look how Ultron he looks. He basically is a Groot Ultron with telekinetic powers. Is how they did the design in season 5. Big step back. Again, this was the beating heart above Vecna, so we all knew what was happening. So, yeah, some good moments and things, but overall, yeah, live up to it. There's Nando. She's not total Rambo there, but she gets there. So yeah, there's Linda Hamilton, major witch. So yeah, those are the photos from the IMDb had up as well. So let's see other notes. A lot of kudos. Let me give some kudos too, because there are some positive things for sure, and that would definitely be worthy of note. Where did I write them down? They're over here somewhere. Hang on. The biggest thing is the guy that plays Vecna. The kid that plays Vecna, he is phenomenal. He basically plays 3 or 4 different characters, and he is really, really good. I don't know what to say. I think that he probably should land an opportunity to show if he can actually act or not. I don't know how that will play out in reality, but he did a good job. I'm trying to get to his name. Oh my gosh, they buried him. He's poor dude. He's like, there's too many freaking people. There he is, Jamie Campbell Bower. So Jamie Campbell Bower is probably one of the high points of the latter seasons as the Vecna, Henry, Mr. Watson kind of guy. Yeah, super good. He's done a couple things here recently, but hasn't really landed something really big. So yeah, we'll see. He was good for sure. I think he was definitely one of the bright spots in the entire final sequence was how good he was. On the contrast, right, there's all sorts of things we just don't talk about. Like whatever happened to all the pregnant women, whatever happened to the military experimentation, whatever, why is Hopper not arrested? Why? Yeah, it was so, there's no, again, I saw a little thing where the Duffers were asked about why are there no demi-dogs and bats and whatever. And I'm like, oh, well, Vecna was taken off by surprise. Please. There's somewhere where we are. There's somewhere. They should have just, it's nuts. So I don't know. Who's responsible for the hair design? They look rough. Yeah, they did it. They tried. So this season drifted further away from 80s cliches. And my daughter brought up the outfit in like when 11 was training with the way they had the shorts over the sweats. I said, well, some of that stuff was kind of 80s, but it felt like they were going full on like military fatigue type stuff. But there was a lot of lapses in the season. Everybody's heard by now the viral, I think it was Holly, little girl Holly, who's mattered this whole time, that suddenly doesn't really matter anymore. Wonder how that worked. You could see like her Under Armour logo on one of her undershirts or something. It's like, whatever, dude. It's like, this is just where we're at with modern Hollywood. We'd have no idea what happened with Derek's family. We have no idea why Paul Reiser's character is not around. There's what happened to the Hawkins cops anymore. Yeah, I just, it's just a lot. There's a lot. I mean, like I have notes of just stuff like, yeah, I don't know, man. I think the military also create a contradiction because Vecna's attacked the military. They were shooting at him. They were shooting demi-dogs. They were doing all this stuff. Nothing was working, right? It took Will. It took 11. It takes their powers to work. And then at the end with this big fight scene, they're using like hand grenades and guns, and it worked. It makes no sense. So complete catastrophe for me. Complete letdown. I was very disappointed with season 5's finale. I know it has some moments and things that are okay. It's far from the worst finale of all time. We were discussing how finales are really rough, but things are not planned out. I don't believe it. So with that, let me say that I'll transition into talking about the channel for a second and the fact that, yeah, this is a StreamYard setup because, yeah, I've had to go back to StreamYard because Evmux would glitch. And look, I live remotely. For those of you who don't know, I live in the middle of absolutely nowhere next to a forest. I have Starlink, so I have satellite internet, so it will glitch. It will time out. And, you know, it is a lot of times better to just, turn off the camera and just reduce the bandwidth that it's sucking up. But I'm having less problems on StreamYard. Well, what happened on Evmux is it would glitch and it would look like it's still working. And then I download the files or I download the interview and there's no audio or there's no video or both. And I'm like, wait, so what? And then they, the first time you thought, oh, that's weird. It just happened. The second time I contact them and they're like, they're trying to blame the service. And then the third time I'm just done. So I've done 2 full ones with other people that are kind of like lost. I've been able to salvage one to get a little bit from it. The other one I'm going to have to do even editing to pull out even shorts. It's going to be tricky to even make it into something, and it becomes a lot of work to salvage that. Back to StreamYard I go, and it stinks because I'm not a huge fan. If any of you know, I am not a huge fan of StreamYard, and it is not my thing. It's frustrating because it'll be now called Bending Spoons because that's technically who owns them. So they're called Bending Spoons. It is one of those things where the layouts and the stuff that worked over on Evmux, I think, are great and can work for a lot of folks. It worked well for me. I got used to it, and I really did like it. But there are other elements of StreamYard. Each one of them has their positive and negatives. I'm sure we could add Restream. I played with Descript for a while. There's different ones I've played with. Everyone's got positives and negatives. And the problem is I'm waiting for the one that comes along. Any day now, I'm waiting. One will come along and we'll just have all of the positives and work out the negatives. I just didn't feel like anyone that's using these tools are there doing the tech to make them better. Why is that not a thing? Anyway, but we did get dark mode. We did get some better screens to pop around from, which is a little bit interesting. I'm not totally used to it, so I will be honest. I'll have to continue to play around with it, and it will be something I do get used to. But yeah, I've had to make the switch back to the old StreamYard indeed. So let me look around here because I got to get some of my notes together. Did not plan out all of these details, as you can tell, because I watch a lot of movies every year. Oh, where is my list? Here we go. Here's the list. I wrote down a list this year of the 200 and something movies and some TV shows, and there's a lot of reviews I didn't get to. So I thought I would do that as well. So we'll get to some of those reviews. I also find that my phone is to blame for some feedback, which I do get from time to time. So let me get a couple of Christmas movies out of the way because I did watch a couple, and I had an interview set up, a discussion, kind of a Friday Popscast type thing to discuss. And it was on me. Something happened with my day job and I couldn't do it. So we'll get to that here in a second. Can't buck the duck? Help me. What are you talking about, SR? What are you getting here? Can't buck the duck. Okay. So yeah. But yeah, it's a constant juggling to try to make something that will work for everyone involved. And it was nice to get through the holiday season, get as much content done. And yeah, StreamYard. Yeah, well, oh, right. The logo is a duck. Yeah. Well, it's the Bending Spoons. It's going to be the logo. So I hope what I would love is that it becomes Bending Spoons with a whole much more user friendliness, but I don't expect that. So, but yeah, let me get to my first Christmas movie that I didn't get to a review on. Oh, I didn't save. Hold on. Let me go back. Did not share right. So let me share it again. Let's try again. So this is a movie that I heard a lot about and didn't act on it. Claus is a 2019 Christmas film nominated for an Oscar. It's a great little Santa Claus history origin story. It is done in traditional hand-drawn animation by Sergio Pablos. He did the screenplay and he coordinates everything through his little studio. It is really, really solid in that way. It's basically involving a little postmaster guy. He comes from like a super rich family. It's a spoiled rich kid who's now going to be sucked up into some sort of adventure because he's being thrown out into some outpost in the middle of nowhere. And he meets this character named Claus, the big guy. And they sort of work together as a sort of like toy maker and delivery. This is his little love interest, little schoolyard situation that they work through. And the journey is kind of works through everything. It really is interesting. They go to this little tiny town in the middle of nowhere, and there's two factions. It's sort of like Hatfield and McCoy type thing. Like we've always hated each other, so therefore we're always going to hate each other type of thing. It is sort of kind of called to the carpet on how that's going to work. And then he basically is breaking that all down into a reality of we don't have to do this. We don't have to behave this way. And the kids just are kids. And these two, the postmaster and Claus, who's basically a toy maker to deal with his own grief of losing his wife at one point, is a brilliant little way to make all things. It explains like why they think there's flying reindeer and how they get in at night and go in the chimneys and just it really is sweet. It's sort of a not year Santa Claus is coming to town, the Rankin and Bass claymation version. It's sort of like a nice little family animated version for kids. Great gags, great moments. A couple things I need to figure out how to clip because there were some great quotes. A couple of them were fantastically funny. I love to have those. Voice cast is fine. Jason Schwartzman is kind of the oddest one. He plays the main character, that Jesper kid, the young postman. J.K. Simmons is Claus. He's always great, right? Rashida Jones is the school teacher. And then you have Norm Macdonald has a small little role as a sarcastic guy who drives a ferry, and he has a couple good lines. So very, very solid. And for those of us that love a lot of traditional animation and that sort of style, this is done really well. Look at the details in this is great. I felt the flow of everything worked really well. Lots of shadows. Yeah, just really, really a solid little film and a solid little take on Santa Claus and stuff. Some gags and stuff. Good gags for kids and stuff, but not overly irritating that makes it bad for us parents. So Claus was going to be a very solid film for me. A high watch. I mean, I was going to go 4 out of 5. Might be a 4.5. This might be a 4.5. It might. It's really, really strong. I was really shocked by it. Has a little too much, maybe contrivances and stuff, but for the most part, let's be honest, had a good time. Really good time. Very surprised by how much fun it was, to be honest, in a lot of ways. And sad that I didn't watch it sooner. So, to be honest, that was another part of my sadness was I hadn't gotten to it sooner. So, yeah, I wish I'd gotten to it and we'd been able to got that review to you in December around the holidays. But Stephen Rest says, yeah, saw a reaction to Claus, new Christmas movie unlocked. Yeah, it's one of the few. Not a lot of great Christmas movies in the last 10 years. I think I made a comment since Elf. What has there been? There's been a few things that are just sort of like okay, but not good. It was definitely fun and definitely good. Like if you love animation and you definitely love like 2D animation, hand-drawn animation, I think you like Claus. So that's my take on that for sure. The other one was a fun. So if you haven't seen my take on Christmas movies, I believe there's categories, right? There's Christmas movies that are traditional Christmas movies. There are some that are genre films. There are some that are Christmas references, Christmas adjacent categories, right? And one of those was Trading Places. And Christmas, I had not watched Trading Places in like forever. Now, it does open on Christmas Eve. We have some Christmas stuff in this movie. We do get we get Aykroyd's character descending into madness, putting on a Santa costume. So it feels like it's full of Christmas references, but not per se a Christmas genre film even. Like I just feel like it's a Christmas comedy exactly. But it does feel like just a fun movie. Let's be honest. Dan Aykroyd, and this is early Eddie Murphy in his heyday at SNL, moving into Hollywood. I remember seeing this as a young kid in the theater, just blown away at how funny it was, how great it was. Just an absolute blast. The idea that you would have the uber rich guy. There we go. The poster transforms, right? So you have the uber rich guy, then you have the guy in the ghetto he's being taken off the ledge to here to become like a ghetto criminal, and the guy that is a criminal elevated to Wall Street genius. So fantastic stuff. I had no idea why this poster was in here. It was one of the weirdest posters. I thought I would bring it up. Why? What is this? I do not understand the poster. It is from Poland. So there's like, it looks like a chameleon with a dollar sign built into it. And there's like an American symbol kind of maybe near the tail. Aykroyd, Eddie Murphy. This is Trading Places, directed by John Landis. But this is like the money symbol here. I do not understand this poster. So I would have to maybe throw this out there. Like, what does this poster mean? Like, why on earth is the chameleon part of the Trading Places poster? By the way, this was weird one for me. Anyway, so most stuff was pretty traditional, and performances are absolutely great. He gets to just be Eddie Murphy, cracking and being himself and doing his outlandish stuff, and then also showing sort of like some maturity and heart. Obviously, they have the house party. Of course, they're trashing his house and all that. He kind of comes to realization of, the people are not what you think. So, yeah, I don't know, man. So really good stuff. A lot of fun. Don Amici, and just the entire premise of that uber wealthy. The bet was really for $1. Here's our shot of Jamie Lee Curtis, and she's just stunning. Let's be honest. And you're getting into 12, 13-year-old pops. Obviously, you can imagine how I felt about Jamie Lee Curtis at this age. So yeah, big deal. She was good. She was fun. So yeah, I had a good time with it. A lot of good time with it. Super solid movie. 3.5 out of 5. Probably even a little on the low side, but it's all right. There's not a lot of meat on the bone with this movie. It was pretty much just what it was. So, but yeah, it was fine. It was a good time. So yeah, Poland has a whole lot of history with strange movie posters. Yeah, Ironcaster always points to Ghana. We talk about crazy posters. He finds ones on from Ghana, and I'm like, wow, that's there. And there are some crazy posters. But the iguana thing, usually the crazy posters, though, I can usually connect the dots. There are some that are just bad art. Like, that's a thing too, right? It can just be bad art. But the idea of just the chameleon, and I just don't understand what they were going for, because it doesn't really even connect enough to the city. It doesn't connect enough to the story for me. But overall, Trading Places, very solid. Good time. Really good time. The next one is like an absolute gem. It is from my just pinnacle time working at a movie theater. I've mentioned seeing the poster. I mean, they had a big display when I worked for a movie theater. 1987, RoboCop. Peter Weller gets to play Murphy, who, he's taken out and he's transformed into this, police cyborg. And Paul Verhoeven takes a story that, there's Nancy Allen, right? Just great stuff. Creates a character that is greater than his movies. Like, I gotta be honest, most people will know what RoboCop is, know about RoboCop, quote lines from RoboCop, and not in the movie itself is, wait, there's no let's face it, the sequels and stuff, there's nothing landed, nothing has worked. The reboot was even worse, like a bigger mess. But all of the characters are so good in this movie. Ronnie Cox playing the main villain. This guy who's like, this is Stephen Barrier. Playing just smarmy. Nancy Allen is sweet and interesting. Everything just works really well. Someone's calling my phone. You have to call my phone. Don't call my phone during a live stream. That's crazy. Get off here. Get off here. There you go. Sorry about that, folks. I think everything just works so well in this movie. Dead or Alive, You're Coming With Me is something that people quote all the time. I'm still shocked that, movie's great. I had watched it last year. There were stories of some tribute that they did in Detroit, and I just went to do it. Oh, yeah, I forgot. I didn't mention Kurtwood. Yeah, man. Long before that 70s show, Kurtwood Smith is freaking great in RoboCop. Just absolutely phenomenal. So 4.5 out of 4 out of 5. Let's be fair, as a film. Probably a little bit of a nudge just because I do love it so much. And you have to lean into your bias too. When this is a big deal, when you see it in a theater and stuff, it was phenomenal. Dude, this display was like 7 feet tall or so. It would rotate and move. It was crazy. So, this is one of the crazy posters. They have this interesting. This is more like the interesting posters you would expect. This is one I had not seen. This one. There's a couple different ones. So that's the standard one, of course. Blu-ray box. One of the Criterions. So typical stuff. So Ronnie Cox is great. Really enjoy this movie. Really enjoy revisiting it. It's a good time. I watch it probably every year anyway. And just for some reason, I I didn't get to the video. I don't remember exactly when I watched it. I didn't pull my ledger out. I have a ledger. Like I said, I kept a list of all the movies. So that took me back to a day of glorious stuff. Just really enjoyed and watching it. Now, the next one I remember watching, always have loved watching these movies. I am such a big fan of disaster movies. It's kind of a weakness for me. I have to be honest, I have sort of a fondness for them. I do enjoy them. And if they come with like great actors and great performances, it's even more so. And during this year in 2020, during 2025, we talked about The Towering Inferno. Irwin Allen is phenomenal as a master disaster. So I watched Poseidon Adventure with Gene Hackman. Now, if you've never seen Poseidon Adventure, an absolute blast of a film. All-star cast, just, the giant, Titanic style ship that just gets knocked over. Great scene with Leslie Nielsen as the captain, right? Totally catch you off guard a little bit there. And the wave just flips the whole boat over. The boat's upside down. And how are you going to get out? How are you going to save everybody? Here you see Shelley Winters, but you got red buttons. You've got just an all-star cast, Ernest Borgnine, all these different characters. Here's Roddy McDowell. That's not even a good picture of Roddy McDowell. He's in a lot. But they're in there having their little New Year's party or whatever. There's Grandpa Joe. That's right. Grandpa Joe over there. Jack Albertson. So, and this is the Ernest Borgnine has a little love interest who's like former call girl because he's a cop. Stella Stevens plays her. She's lovely in this movie. And it's basically this journey through the bowels of this ship, trying to figure out how to get out. I remember seeing this when I was young. Loved it then. Love it more now. I will admit I kind of forget sometimes because as this is unpacking, more and more people are not making it. I kind of forgot about how much emotion there was in all that. Like you're kind of sad. Like if you were to shed a tear, I would understand why. You definitely are going to get robbed of some humans along the way. Hackman is phenomenal. You have all sorts of separation of people. Here's one of the big divides where they have this again. Is it a Christmas movie? Because it's a Christmas tree. No. Christmas reference maybe, but not Christmas movie. Some people won't go. Some people will do this. And how it all turns very quickly on a dime. Just really, really done well. Irwin Allen is not named as the director, but he directed the action sequences, I believe. The Poseidon Adventure is a book that they got adapted. This is how Irwin would find these great stories and put them together. I don't know how to say. Is it Ronald Neame? I think is his name. I think it's Neame. British guy. Not even familiar with him doing a ton of other work. He has a lot of other stuff. He worked on the Albert Finney Scrooge, and that's kind of the extent of what I know he's in or did. I don't know what else he's done, but good stuff. Really good performances. Hackman, of course, this is 1972, so this is peak Hackman. This is French Connection era Hackman. This is phenomenal Hackman. So just really, really good stuff. 4 out of 5 again. Just super strong movie for me. I'm a disaster movie guy, so I will admit I'm a little on the bias side. I would even consider leaning that little half, to be honest. I know most people are probably going to go 3.5, but I'm willing to go a little higher on this because I just really loved it. So hey Penny, great to see you. Happy New Year. I hope you're doing well. Things are going well. I'm in the let's talk about some different reviews that I hadn't gotten to. You know how I watch so many things, but then life and timing and scheduling, whatever, gets messed up. So therefore I don't get the actual review done. And I thought, well, let me catch up on some of those as well. And I think it's only fair to knock out some of these heavy hitters because some of these are big movies, probably not going to be on the slate for a busy upcoming year. And I feel like if I didn't do something, I went, and if you haven't seen me talk about Stranger Things, we already did that a little bit. But Penny, I hope you're doing well. Things are going okay. Great to see you. Always great to see you, Penny. Next up is a film a lot of people love. Now, listen, I have never, I went through a Stephen King love affair. Went through the whole, read the books, movies, just did my thing. And there are some really good Stephen King adaptations. The problem is a lot of the things that you really like are not actually in the book. Like Misery and the foot thing and all that was radically changed. It is not like that in the book. It's way more graphic. One of the biggest ones that's been changed is The Shining. And I have never been a big fan. I tried to give it another chance. I really do love everyone involved. I really do. I really, really do love everyone involved in The Shining. I do enjoy The Shining kind of for what it is, if that makes sense. So this is one of these movies where I like it for what it is and appreciate it, but I don't enjoy it and I don't watch it. Nicholson is phenomenal. Stanley Kubrick does an amazing work. Shelley Duvall is really good. I still don't quite get the sexual appeal of Shelley Duvall, like the cute girl. She's supposed to be like the cute girl next door. I never saw her as cute girl next door. I love me some Scatman Crothers. I think he is a cool dude. He is one of those. If I could go back in time and have a little lunch with Scatman Crothers, man, that would be wicked. I would love from, Chico on the Man to Harlem Globetrotters to Transformers, Hong Kong Phooey. Dude, man, this dude was part of my life for, the whole time, man. But all in all, it's filled full of iconic moments and psychotic elements and things that just make you just descend into madness, and that basically Nicholson has, parlayed that into just absolutely phenomenal. So yeah, it is it's really good. It's really great for what it is, but I'm also not a massive. So, Penny, you said watching The Shining once was enough for me. I found it disturbing. Well, it's supposed to be disturbing, and I get that. I just don't necessarily find that an enjoyable experience like yourself. I don't really rewatch it. I had not rewatched it. I know I should have gone on and watched Doctor Sleep. I didn't. I kind of meant to, so I could kind of be a little more fair to the film. And it's again one of these things, Penny. Maybe you can relate, where I can see it as a greatness. I can see the impact and what was actually accomplished as a film, but not necessarily enjoy the experience of watching it, not really love it. You know what I mean? Like there is something that you can do. Like as a critic, I can say this is like a 4 to 4.5 out of 5 film. This is a top-notch film. I get it. But for me personally, 3.5 is probably the best I can do for you. I just can't get there. I love elements of it, but I also don't enjoy it. Do not have a great experience. I do have to admit, as the film nerd in me, what I probably enjoy most about the film is not the story and what's actually happening. It's sort of like all of the visuals and the metaphors and the allegories and symbolisms, and all of that is probably what I enjoy more than the actual descent into madness, cabin fever thing, Red Rum and, Jack's been a bad boy kind of thing. So, yeah. All in all, again, I can appreciate it for what it is, but also not like, hey, I'm going to throw down and watch it a lot. By the way, I don't know much about the kid. I don't know. I meant to kind of look up something about the kid and I kind of forgot. Danny Lloyd plays like one messed up character, man. So as far as I know, he just didn't really do a lot of acting, kind of just got out of it after a while. And he doesn't really talk about his time on Shining. That's kind of about all I know. So I don't know what else there is sort of about it. It's kind of messed up. And I assume based on what I know about Stanley Kubrick, that probably messed him up a little bit too. So that's my take on Shining. So again, get it for what it was, but not necessarily mine. There you go. Let me catch up. Steve Ransom says, disaster movies are great commentaries on humanity. Lifeboat being a kind of grandfather to them. That is so true. Yeah, I need to watch Lifeboat. Lifeboat is, to me, one of Hitchcock's underrated gems, especially because of how he had to figure out how to get his cameo in there. So, but I love disaster movies. I need to watch Earthquake. Earthquake is sort of my earmarked one for 2026, is to get Earthquake rewatched. I watched that one way too long. But again, Stephen, a lot of the modern ones are crap. Like, I'll be honest. I watched them as a guilty pleasure. Like 2012 and the Dwayne Johnson ones, or even, Cliffhanger, whatever. They're just, I watch them because they're dumb. The good ones are the Irwin Allen ones. Yeah, I'm with you. I love good head scratcher. Zach's is in the house. Great to see you, brother. Great to see you, man. Looking forward to be able to hang out with you and talk and spend time with you this year for sure. So good stuff. But yeah, just catching up on some reviews, talking about some things that were watched and in the mix, and not, the review just didn't happen for whatever reason. That's, it can be the scheduling, it can just be different things that are going on at the time. So I want to talk about one of the kids movies, because the kids like that I talk about the kids movie. The kids have movies that they want to watch. And what is interesting is that, especially on YouTube in particular, I think kids movies come out and they get their review, they do their box office, and then nobody talks about them again. So when they visited last time, they wanted to watch Turbo. Now, if you've ever seen Turbo, Turbo is this little snail who's obsessed with racing. And then through a magic event, he is able to race so fast he can race with like Formula One. He's just a regular snail. He's just obsessed. He's out, it gets hit, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, it's so silly and goofy. It somehow works. And I don't even know that I can totally explain why it works, because it's dumb on every possible level. It's a 2013 movie, voiced by Ryan Reynolds. His brother is voiced by Paul Giamatti. So the voice actors are great because they don't sound alike at all. They don't sound like they would be brother. It works really well. And then there's this taco stand and this failing little town, and the taco guy, voiced by Michael Pena, finds him, and he's the one that kind of sets in motion with Luis Guzman as Angelo, the older brother, as a way to get the tacos as the sponsor to get the snail, and ultimately in the Indy 500, which, again, it sounds so retarded and silly when you say it out loud, because it is. It's absolutely silly. But for a kid's movie, who cares, right? It's fine. And it's fine, because the story centers around friendship. It centers around the brotherly part. It centers around, having a dream so big that no one can stop you for trying. I think it's okay to have that. I'm not sure I totally get it and buy it, but it's fine. I think overall, there's no real fall. I mean, I'm sure there was a sequel or something was done or whatever, but it's. I don't know that how much kids relate to snails. I think was part of the problem. I think they kind of thought they were going to get something, but I mean, it's a snail. Like, it's not. Yeah, doesn't quite work. Yeah, Ratatouille with snails. That's not a bad metaphor. That's actually kind of fair. SR. I think it's actually Ratatouille makes more sense because it's just a rat who can actually have the sense of smell and actually control the chef and actually do it. The snail thing involves like the thing has to happen to him to have the magic in the shell so he can run that fast. So my nieces love snails. Yeah, I mean, I have nothing against snails, and the kids like snails, but as a populace, I don't know how many snail stuffed animals and stuff that you can work out there to make it sort of a franchise. I also felt that the animation and stuff, this is the animation. It was this is DreamWorks stuff. The animation stuff was just very bland. Look at the background. There's just not much of anything. There's no real details in the backgrounds. There's really not a lot of interesting elements. I think it's, again, look at the background. It's just not. Yeah. So there's some stuff that's okay. And I think this is the problem with the transition to modern times, where sometimes the animation's good. Like we get it's a porta potty, but there's really no real details in some of the animation shots and stuff. It's kind of dark and gray a lot with these bright colors, a lot of contrast. So it's not the most appealing of films, but at the end of the day, yeah, it was fine, if that makes sense. So for me, the kids love to have it. They were laughing out loud. They're giggling. Obviously, you have all the jokes with the actual other snails because they all have little personalities. Like Samuel L. Jackson is a snail, and Snoop Dogg is a snail. The other snails are hysterical. There is a great line that we have embraced and love where I think it is Seth Rogen is the snail, and he wants to go by White Shadow. It's his nickname. It's like, you can't see me, and of course everybody can see him. Whatever. So I think that's pretty funny. So White Shadow is pretty funny. So there's some good moments like that. Bill Hader, I think, voices. Oh man, I messed up showing all that stuff there. But all in all, I think it works. It works reasonably well. It's done pretty good. It was so for the kids, 3 out of 5. For me, 2.5 out of 5. 5. It's fine. It's okay. It's serviceable. It's not, it's not bad or anything like that. But it's also not like, let's not get carried away. It is what it is. So let me get to, and maybe this is a thing we'll revisit during the year, because there's a new one coming. And this I did not know that when I watched these. I actually just thought of a reason to just watch more Steve McQueen, because I love me some Steve McQueen movies. I think he's he's just the great, right? So when we switch gears to Thomas Crown Affair. Hadn't watched Thomas Crown Affair in a long time, and love Thomas Crown. Thomas Crown Affair is just phenomenal. 1968, Steve McQueen, a dude that's so rich, very much sort of Elon. This is self-made millionaire from back in 68. So think, Elon type thing, but with actually more like flair and personality and adventure and whatever. So he's with Faye Dunaway, and he is just so rich and does whatever. He actually just does capers on the side. He secretly just organized. Here he is playing polo. He just does capers. Look at his old dune buggy. Mr. Cool. It's being cool. And it's a fun little mystery, cat and mouse sort of crime romance, which is kind of weird to say all these things in one thing. Like, how do you describe the original Thomas Crown film? It really is just so good. This style of filmmaking is also interesting. A lot of shots, it's almost like James Bond. It took you all over the place with all these different settings and different elements, and it all just works really, really well. He is just phenomenal in all these different things. Look how beautiful she was. Oh, she's a beautiful lady. And it just works as like the guy, like, why would he be doing these bank robberies? Why would he be the mastermind and all this stuff? He's already so rich. No one's going to believe it. And it works really, really well. Everything about it just works really, really well. I've always thought it was sort of like an underrated. I kind of wish it had more to it, a little bit more meat on the bone. But I think it's kind of like popcorn for the sake of popcorn. Like, I think it knows what it is. It's not trying to pretend to be real serious or a lot more. It's just showcasing Steve McQueen. His sex appeal, his exotic nature. James Bond. He's basically playing like a James Bond character in a non-James Bond movie. And that's pretty much what's kind of happening here. It just happens to be more about bank robberies and stuff rather than actual spy stuff. And I wanted to kind of size that up a little bit versus the other Thomas Crown movie, which came along later. And I want to say for this one, I would say 3.5 out of 5 is fair. I think 3.5 is fine. It's very solid. It's not great. Like I said, there's not a lot of massive substance. I wish there was more. I wish there was a little more substance. And I think that it was fine, but I kind of wanted to. I watched both, and it was after I watched both, and I didn't have the review done. And then I found out they're making another one. So it's back to the drawing board over Thomas Crown, because 1999 Thomas Crown with Pierce Brosnan in his heyday of his 90s. Completely different feel. Leans more into some of the romance. Don McTiernan does some good stuff. Obviously, he's a director, I think, who doesn't get credit. One of the best refill runs in all of history with Predator, Die Hard, and Hunt for the Red October. That'd be 87, 88, and 90. Just absolutely phenomenal. But he ended up doing this, and I don't totally... Anyway, so crime movie, super rich guy, Rene Russo plays the love interest. Here's the guy coming after him. Always loved me some Dennis Leary. He's fine. And they have their moments, falling in love and going on adventures and stuff. And they do some upgrades and changes for the time. My biggest beef is it's just not a Timeless Crown movie. It doesn't feel the same. And I don't exactly know how to explain it. It just feels like it had a lot of rewrites or something. He's going after paintings and stuff. He also wasn't like in the shadows of the theft. It just feels like something they just couldn't ever pin on him. It's more about the romance and the charming element of it rather than the heist element, like the sneakiness of it. So it's kind of a big miss for me because, she's trying to catch him, but she's falling for him. And then, of course, Dennis Leary is like, you're falling for him. She's like, well, yeah, look at him. Of course I am. So it works pretty well for them to figure everything out and do this big thing with the big switcheroo with the paintings, which I really do enjoy. And I do enjoy the movie a lot. I just hate that it's called Timeless Crown. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's like that. Like it's a good movie, or it can be a great movie, or it's whatever. But because of what it is, it's like, yeah, but it's not a Timeless Crown movie. It shouldn't be called Timeless Crown. So I'm going to go a little bit lower on the Pierce Brosnan version. Rene Russo is fine. I'm not dogging staff or, any really major elements. I just wish it wasn't called Timeless Crown. It's just not quite. And again, it doesn't really showcase him. Maybe because the times are so different, it didn't feel as much, but it didn't feel as much of showcasing his sex appeal and whatever. It was just him wooing her kind of thing. So I'll go a little bit lower on the remake to 3 out of 5 versus, the other. So that's my general take on that one. So let me lean back here for a minute. Y'all don't mind hanging with me. I gotta get my, am I on camera? Get my Dr. Pepper. Yeah, see, I'm on brand. My notes are back here in this back corner. I buried them. Some other things that didn't make the list, or we didn't get to review. 227 movies, 341 episodes or TV specials. That was my 2025. So a lot of things in there. Love me my Dr. Pepper, that's for sure. And most things I talked about. Most things I do, and then I'll catch up on these videos like this where I'll catch up. So just going through the last few months and see. I'll just do a video on one. This is going to be, let me do one on this. Let me talk about this movie. You got any bad movies, good movies in 2025? Because I find 2025 to be another year that's just very meh. And I don't mean that there are no good movies. There are movies that I enjoyed and had a good time with. I would think F1 is probably my most entertaining, rewatchable movie. Had the most fun watching that movie. Final Destination Bloodlines might be, the biggest surprise movie. Can't believe that's still good. I'm just still shocked at how entertaining that movie was. Train Dreams, which I think is hopefully one you'll hear about during the Oscars. Joe Edgerton, kind of a history piece, dramatic piece, boring to most people, beautifully shot, great film over on Netflix. Fantastic film. Probably the best film that I've watched, even though there's a lot that I haven't seen. I've asked about Sinners. Here's my thing about Sinners. Everyone's talked about it now. So I'm kind of onto it. I was onto it when I saw the promotional material. It just rips off From Dusk Till Dawn with twins. Black people and twins. I'm not interested in watching that. It's just going to make me mad. You're just ripping off Robert Rodriguez and the Tarantino era. Not doing that. But what made me mad was watching a movie like this. Worst movie of 2025 for us. Look, I get Kevin James movies are a lot of just meh, just whatever. Had Alan Rickman in it from Reacher, and just really was kind of like this whole thing. It's called Playdate. It's an Amazon film. Just thought it was fun. Just kind of fun. Here's the Girl Squad. And this movie tries to have Alan Rickman do all the gags and have Kevin Smith play the straight guy. This movie is an absolute disaster. And it basically centers around these two goats watching their kids get together, and it turns out that, you know, the one guy is like, he's running from our mercenaries, and they're on like a speed chase in a minivan, and then there's like, it's just all this military nonsense that's tied up with his past. And then of course the Kevin James character Brian's caught up in it now, and he's kind of being blamed for, like, you know, abducting the kid and all sorts of crazy. But it's so dumb, and it's so bad, and it's so flat and unfunny. I don't think I could give it a lower score. Nothing works. It's dull. It's got dumb action. It is Alan Richkin trying to be funny and having a lot of sort of like amped up approach with his character. Like, he was told to be like this giant, you know, crazy guy, whatever, comic book type person looking guy, but be sweet and goofy and whatever. And then Kevin Smith told, hey, listen, you be kind of like the unlikable, fat, nerdy guy without a sense of humor, even though you're funny. Don't do that. And just, man, this movie does not work, like, at all. This movie was bad at every turn. It was completely nuts. Look at the overacting. Kevin Smith told to overact. Like, it's just bad. This is the Chuck E. Cheese elements, and this, I guess, is on set. We just thought we would have a good time and just have some laughs, and I'm not sure we laughed. I think the laugh that I had, the biggest laugh I had, was there was a shot with Isla Fisher in the other minivan. She's driving the girls around in the other minivan. She gets tased or something, so she's like, that actually probably made me laugh. I mean, I'm gonna say a star. I don't even know that I can give it a star. There are movies that are bad that get a star. Playdate might be a half a star. It is bad. This movie is bad. There might be an action sequence or something worthy of a star. I'm trying to think. Stephen Root's in it. Alan Tudyk. Poor Alan Tudyk. Stephen Root. All right, I'll stick with the star, and it's mostly because of Alan Tudyk. Because they're okay. It's just, the movie is so bad. Oh, this movie is horrible. It's just bad. That's rough. Really, really rough movies. Back to the list. See what else I didn't do a video on. As you can tell, when you see a movie that's bad and you have some sort of expectations, yeah. I'm getting Twins vibes. Jack Black with Chris Hemsworth. Yeah, but imagine if they did that and they told Jack Black to play, you know, quiet and straight and flat, and have Hemsworth be like over the top goofy and try to be funny, whatever, how it doesn't work. And that's kind of how this ended up. Just absolute catastrophe at every level. Like, I'm still sort of shocked that it's that bad, because no one could have the script. No one could say, this isn't funny. This isn't working. It's just, you hear these stories in the past about all these movies and how they were kind of like works in progress and how they evolve over time and stuff like that. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, Ghostbusters 2016. Yeah, similar, very similar vibe for sure. So yeah, that's good enough. That's a few of the caught. I actually have a list. I don't even know what I've done. I made such a mess of my desk to try to rush to get in front of the camera to get a video done while I had a chance, because, you know, tomorrow is done. I got to go back to the day job on Monday. So many things are going on. I'm in the middle of reorganizing and doing all this stuff to get geared up for the new year. I do constantly revisit, reorganize, restructure. So all that's happening. But the list that says, here's all these videos to do next, and here's all these things, that piece of paper is missing. And I don't know what I did with it. The one I have is very generic. That's what I was reading earlier. And it's got a few of those on here, but not all of them. So it is what it is. Lots of stuff. Lots of fun stuff coming up. Talk Art's going to be fun. We got a nice, robust schedule already put together. Very excited about that. We kick off with Tropic Thunder. That's just a gem. Absolutely insane film. Have some fun stuff coming up on a serious side. Bringing in like first watch. You know, when I do a first my first watch reaction or my guest. So we have that already in the mix. We got 2 of those set in early January, and then revisiting some stuff that we love. Asking like, what are the best movies since 2020? Are there any great movies? And what I mean by great, it's like if we listed off the top 250 or we go by genre, what films really land at the top of that 2020 to now list? So for me, that's a really so I let me make sure I got my right years. Yeah. So Spider-Man No Way Home is probably our last great superhero movie. How many has anything been great since then? Top Gun Maverick is so rewatchable and fun, kind of like F1. They're just rewatchable and fun. They're not great though. I mean, they're great for what they are, but they're not like best of all time. They're not, they're not best action or they're great for what they are. So my list of what are actually great or what makes that great list, like historically speaking, cinema wise, is very small. Like maybe Godzilla -1 because of the Godzilla IP. It's among the greatest of the Godzilla films of all time. Fair. But that doesn't make it great cinematically and cinematic history, though. You know what I mean? Like maybe if we talk about monster films, maybe we could put it in that kind of conversation. RRR is that Indian film, got an Oscar for the song, but should have been nominated for more. It was a gateway film for many of us to see animated cinema. It's kind of in that category, but I got to be honest, I think Sardar Udham is a better Indian film. So even though I would say RRR counts, Sardar Udham might be even a better film. I don't know if it's a date on Sardar Udham, but it's so, let me see. Yeah, 2021. So Sardar Udham would count it. They hate that film. Boy, the Indian people hate that film from the government film commission people because it's so anti-British. It's all scam. So I started going through that. There's been films like The Menu, Nosferatu. There's films like that are really, really good. I just don't know they're great though. You know what I mean? They're really, really good. Don't know they're great. Don't know they catch it into the elite category. The world's just different now. And I don't know how that changes because even with box office and streaming and stuff constantly still evolving and trying to figure out where the world will land and how we move forward, what do we come together over? We don't collectively do stuff like this together anymore. I don't know. It's tragic. It really is. So we're going to have some videos kind of tied around that theme a little bit over the course of the year as well. Try to work that in with what I do. Probably need to catch up a little bit on some comic book stuff. Don't really read a lot. I have 4 or 5 things I read. That's pretty much it. My take in my videos would pretty much be the same thing. It's still good. That'd be my take. At some point, it's kind of boring. I am rewatching Star Trek. For anybody who's a big Star Trek fan out there, Star Trek original series rewatches are a legit thing. I am not a Trek fan. I'm kind of a total noob. Been down that rabbit hole as a playlist. New video drops Monday on the episode called Mirror Mirror, which is the evil Spock episode. I will be doing some more of those. I don't know how many of those I'll go through. If I can do one a month, it still gets me not even through all of season 2, but I would probably try to speed up enough to get through at least season 2 of the original series. But my mom was a Trekkie. I wasn't. I was a Star Wars kid. So I just didn't connect to it the same way. Enjoyed the films more. So we'll be doing that a lot during the year. Then just trying to enjoy life, just trying to get through the nostalgia stuff. It's just been a blast, man. Just throwing up a commercial, throwing up as a commercial as a short, getting people to just scratch at that nostalgia bug, interact with people in that way. It's just been an absolute blast. And I really do enjoy doing that. So that probably will happen a lot too. I know it's going to happen here in a few days because I have a couple of them already queued up. So anyway, it is great that so many of you have watched and been hanging out with me. It's great to see so many people over the course of a year and look back and move into a new year and have something to look forward to. I enjoy it. There's a lot of things are changing. So, but all in all, man, I feel blessed. I'm still shocked that this is a thing I can even do and have such a good time doing connect with people all over the world. I'm still blown away. I mean, I got to meet Angry Canadian from Japan. That's crazy to me. I'm still blown away. He came to America and they wanted to not only meet me when I come to the farm and hang out with the family. Just, it was phenomenal. So, and then I didn't have this clip handy. So this is a positive of going back to StreamYard. Is I'll close with this. So if you guys don't know this bit, this is old school Pops bit. It went up on YouTube, I think in 2019, but it predates 2019. So my wife, when I were on the road, I'd done radio a lot, website work, a lot of press stuff. And I got a phone call on my cell phone, which was weird, a personal cell phone call, which was weird. So only certain people would have that number. And they were like, hey, listen, can you go over to this Walmart and cover this event? And I'm like, what on earth are you talking about? So I have to pull off the road, get all this information together and figure out what I can do. So I can figure out what I can commit to. But they were basically going to have 4 or 5 movie cars on display at this Walmart to promote this thing that they were doing, right? So there's an Ecto one, there's a Kit from Knight Rider, there's a DeLorean, there's all these different cars that are going to be there. And the person that's doing it, they're actual movie cars. They're not like some weird gimmick. These are actual prop ones that were, been restored or whatever the case. They're on a tour. They're owned and stored in California. They go on this tour all over the country, and Walmart was partnering with them to do this. So you get to do this. Now, little kids are in line, by the way, to do this green screen thing. Little kids, not 14-year-olds. I'm talking like 6 and me. So I could do this. So when you see the scene, you'll understand. It was a blast. And I just didn't, after I use the videos and intros for a while, I don't want to say retire them because anything can be brought back, but I just don't use them as often. I just move on, turn the page. Like, this is a new year. So we'll kind of create with new things, new ideas, new things we're talking about feel more relevant. This is something from the past, but it was in the archive. It was still here, stored on the old StreamYard. So I'm going to close with that. Invite everybody back on Tuesday for Talk Hard. Check out the channel for anything you could be interested in. Hit just the little search button, type something in, see what I've done a video on it or not. Throw me some comments, recommendations, suggestions. I've been working on that a little bit, trying to figure that out to get people on during my schedule so I can record with them about it. But looking forward to good times. But I hope you enjoy the clip. The rest of your day and weekend goes well. Take care. Be blessed. I'm Pops.
I mean, this is going to make E.T. look like Raiders of the Lost Ark. You know what I'm saying?
That's great, huh? All right. Take care, everybody.